Last week at Pocono, rains forced a 24-hour postponement of the race. But on Monday, what the fans saw was well worth the wait. The tricky triangle proved to be treacherous and tough for chase hopeful David Rudiman and rising star Marcus Ambrose. But it was a treat for driver Denny Hamlin, who returned to victory lane for the first time in over a year, while somehow dealing with the emotions of the loss of his biggest fan, his grandmother. This week we move from the mountains of Pennsylvania to the lakes of New York. The picturesque Finger Lakes region of central New York is home to historic Watkins Glen International, where the stars and cars of NASCAR will compete on the twists and turns of a road course for the second and final time of the 2009 season. This historic road course is located in the wine country of New York. Now, each lap the driver must negotiate a very difficult course. That's the long course the Indy cars run. We take that boot away, and now we have a course for NASCAR that's just under 2.5 miles.
Yeah, let's take a trip around here as we start at the start-finish line. Hard braking area down into turn 1. That's going to set us up for turn 2, and then up through the S's, the high-speed part of this racetrack down the back straightaway as we come to the bus stop, which makes up 4 turns, actually, and we're going to go around turn 9, which is actually the 9th time that we're going to turn this race car in this course so far, leading to a hard, fast left-hand corner. You have to be careful here at turn 10. You get the car to wheel hop and you get off in the gravel. Turn 11 is going to lead us back to the start-finish line down the front straightaway.
Very busy lap for the drivers, and it is the NASCAR heavyweights who are the big-time winners to this race course. Mark Martin, a 3-time winner, won 3 in a row back when he was driving for Jack Roush. The all-time winningest road course racer in stock car history, Jeff Gordon, a 9-time winner. 4 of those have come here at Watkins Glen. And the guy who's had the hot hand recently, Tony Stewart, is also a 4-time winner. He has not finished worse than second the last 5 races he has run at this racetrack. Just 5 races remain until the chase begins. Here are the point standings. Somehow Tony Stewart managed a 10th place finish last week at Pocono and now holds the largest points lead of the year, 197 points over Jimmy Johnson. The big gainer, Juan Pablo Montoya, finishing second, jumping 2 spots. And Ryan Newman, despite a top 15 finish, moved back 2 positions in the standings. Hello, everyone. We welcome you inside our pit studio here overlooking Pit Road at Watkins Glen International. I'm Jerry Punch, along with Andy Petrie and Dale Jarrett. Glad to have you with us. Now, folks, we're going to show you something right now that you haven't seen in quite a while. NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying at Watkins Glen, because it has been rained out 4 times in the last 5 years. Now let's talk about this racetrack. Mark Martin says that Sonoma is the Martinsville of road courses, but this place he calls the super speedway of road courses. Why?
Well, it's about speed. Out in California, that track has got a lot of tight turns. They're close together. You never really get a lot of top speed there. But here, these corners have, sweep to them. You go down the after turn 1, you go down into the S's, which you can carry a lot of speed through there, and then it takes you onto a long straightaway. And then it just takes a lot of braking at the top of the hill to try to get into that inner loop. Just a lot of speed difference here, too. You go from a real high speed to a relatively slow speed to get through some of the tight turns.
Yeah, and these guys are the challenge they face today in trying to get that speed out of the car is really difficult. What these guys do is you have to brake a lot at 2 certain spots, but the rest of it is really being in the gas. What's their objective date? Staying on the track. You want to get that speed. You want to challenge these corners in getting to those high braking areas, but you have to really be careful not to get the car wheel hopping, and that starts really in turn 1. If you mess that up, then you're in a lot of trouble for the rest of the lap.
Indeed, and the driver who found a lot of speed last week won at Pocono finally after over a year. For more on Denny Hamlin, let's go down to Dave.
Well, Doc, that emotional victory for Denny Hamlin told us a lot about him. First of all, the guy can drive with a heavy heart and an even heavier right foot. He won that race because he was the best car on the track and aggressively drove his way to the win at the end. But it also showed us that they have championship potential. You mentioned the long dry spell for him from victory lane. He's 5th in the championship right now. They were showing chase winning potential, but after winning last week at Pocono, they've shown the NASCAR world they can get the W and take it all the way to the finish this year. He rolls off first this afternoon. To Vince Welch.
Well, Dave, when you come to a road course, you're bound to see some drivers who aren't weekly Sprint Cup competitors, but when you get to race courses that turn left and right, they are certainly formidable challengers. Guys like Patrick Carpentier or a Max Pappas, a Boris Said, or Ron Fellows, who's got 20 Sprint Cup starts. 19 of them have come on road courses. They may not turn the fastest laps here today in practice or tomorrow in the race, but those are drivers that are definitely, Doc, in their element, and we anticipate we'll be talking about them quite a bit this weekend.
Thank you, Vince. Indeed, we will be. And we'll be talking about a lot of motorsports over the weekend. We've got lots to come your way. NASCAR Nationwide and NASCAR Sprint Cup action. We'll have happy hour in the Sprint Cup Series tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2. And, of course, live flag-to-flag coverage Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN, beginning with NASCAR Countdown and our host, Alan Bestwick. NASCAR Nationwide action, final practice coming up next on ESPN2. Marty Reed will be jumping in here for me. And, of course, qualifying tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time also on ESPN2. And then at 2:30 Eastern Time, NASCAR Nationwide Series action. That's always a great race to watch here at Watkins, Glen. And, again, Marty Reed will have the call for that one here at 2:30 tomorrow. And, of course, NASCAR Now today, 6:30 Eastern Time, wrapping up today's activities on ESPN2. We'll also talk about what happened in qualifying and what's going to go on in the Nationwide Series. And at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, NASCAR Now on Sunday, presented by 5 Hour Energy. We'll come back with qualifying in a moment.
NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying is brought to you by Best Buy. Thousands of people eager to help. Best Buy. Buy or be happy.
Got a shot of beautiful Lake Seneca there, just down the street here from where we are at Watkins Glen International. The drivers headed to their cars. Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson. Both those guys very good road racers. Harvick has won here in the past. Jimmy Johnson, to the surprise of many, has never won on a road course. Hard to believe, as good as he is everywhere else, that he's still looking for that first road course victory.
Well, yeah, it took Dale Earnhardt Sr. a long time to get his first road course win, but he was always competitive at the road courses, as Jimmy Johnson is. It's not like he's not good here. He just hasn't got that victory yet.
Last week's winner, Denny Hamlin, boy, what a weekend it was for him. He got caught back in traffic, had to make his way through, and not without some controversy. We saw that contact with David Rudiman, who bounced off Marcus Ambrose, and David Rudiman a little unhappy this week with Denny Hamlin because of what it did to David's points possibilities. Let's go down to Vince.
Well, Denny, coming in after an emotional and a successful weekend last week at Pocono, how do you feel here at Watkins Glen this week?
Pretty good. It's been a good track for us over the last few years, and you know, we've had real good solid finishes here. We never really had a race-winning car, but we've had a car that could at least contend with those guys in the top 5. So this weekend, our car's got plenty of good speed in it. It's going to be tough though. Just coming out a Nationwide car and running a few seconds slower, and then I got to come and be the first car out in the Cup. It's gonna, if I can just back up what I ran in practice, that'd be a huge feat for myself.
Denny Hamlin, he'll roll off first, Doc.
He was second in the overall practice session. He's trying to get down to the cars, and as you heard Denny say, the Nationwide cars just finished qualifying, and they will have practice that will be coming up after us. And so, indeed, they are going to make an adjustment. NASCAR, because these drivers had to be in the Nationwide car, are going to roll Juan Pablo Montoya off first.
Well, they give him 5 minutes, too, on the clock. It didn't look like Denny was in much of a hurry, though, did it?
No, I'm sure it takes a little time to get your thoughts and also to go from that Nationwide car over to this Cup car, because they drive totally different. You don't have the downforce in these Cup cars that you do, so I'm sure your braking points and all of that, and the speed that you carry because of the horsepower is totally different. So I'm sure he's taking his time thinking about it a little bit, and he also really probably didn't care about being the first car out there.
Yeah, let somebody else go out there and test the racetrack. Although it's in great shape, we've had perfect weather, and they just finished the Nationwide Series practice. And right here, these guys probably won't push their car too hard on this warm-up lap because they don't want to hurt the tires.
Juan Pablo Montoya had a good weekend last week, and that's a pretty good memory, finishing second at Pocono. But this is the all-time great memory right now for Montoya, his 17th career start. Back in 2007, he came from 32nd starting position to get to victory lane at Sonoma. His first and to date only NASCAR Sprint Cup victory. And the last 10 starts there in this series have been very good for Juan Pablo Montoya. So much consistency. You see what he's done in the point standings. And last week, guys, for the first time this year, a top 5 finish.
I mean, you can just see it coming. He's going to get a win. It's going to be soon. This would be a great place for him to do it. This team has just really gelled well. I talked to Tony Glover, the team manager. I talked to him quite a bit, actually, and he says that they feel the best they've ever felt about this 42 team right now.
You see a little loose off of turn 1 right there. That's a fast corner. Even though you get down, some of these guys will get down into first gear, you still carry a lot of speed. You have to get back to the throttle actually before you get to the apex of the corner. Another fast part as he comes up through the S's, but it looked like his car was a little bit on the free side.
He finished 4th here last year and led 2 laps, and surprisingly, this is not the car he ran here a year ago. His teammate has the car. And they were telling me in the pits that they decided to refurbish an old road course car and bring it here after they tested it at a couple of other racetracks.
Yeah, you can see he didn't really get through the chicane. He got off as he entered there. He kind of got up on the curbing, and it shot him off a little wider than what he wanted to be in the center of that. So I think that's probably going to hurt his time a little bit.
And it's so critical to hit every one of these corners right because you only get 1 lap of qualifying here. You don't get 2 like a lot of places we go. You can't make it up on the next lap.
It makes it tough. At all the other places we go, you have 4 corners to negotiate. Here you have about 11 times you can mess up or have that opportunity to do as he takes the checkered flag on his lap.
He ran a 71.85 in practice, and that is slower.
Yeah, a little off of his practice time, just like you said, Dale. A few places on the racetrack he wasn't very good, and that being loose off turn 1 didn't help.
Yeah, in a lot of places we go, the ovals that you go, if you off a tenth or 2, that's quite a bit. Here, it's nothing to lose a half a second in just one of these corners.
Let's go down and visit with the champ, Dave.
The reigning champion, Jimmy Johnson, and I understand that you and Juan Pablo were sharing a few speed secrets today in the garage area. Is that right?
Yeah, we were chatting a little bit about our braking point and into turn 1 here, and oddly enough, he went by and he told me he was lifting down here at this light, but he looked a little short, so I don't know what the deal was there.
Maybe you can revise his speed secrets.
I know next time I'm going to change what I say to him. No, we had a really good practice session, had fun testing, did a tire test, and spending some time with Juan and some of the other guys over the week at Dover. And then we were just catching up on some golf and talked a little bit about the cars. And my car's been really good and fast. Put tires on it and didn't have the speed that we wanted on stickers, having a little trouble in the braking zone with stickers, but I think we understand why. We can lay down a good lap. This guy's been working hard on the slowest car, and it's got a lot of speed in it.
Jimmy, talk about last week and recovery and how you guys bounced back and really salvaged the day at Pocono.
Yeah, we did. We were fortunate to get the cautions, and there were so many cars on the lead lap that we were the lucky dog each time. So we got back on the lead lap. I got inside the top 10. A little aggressive and pounded the wall off at 2, and that really hurt our progress, and I lost a couple spots after that. But really a great fight from the race team. I mean, these guys never give up, and the slowest car always finds a way to the front.
All right, we'll let Jimmy go get to his car. Paul Menard taking the green, guys.
Thank you, Dave. We mentioned Jimmy Johnson. He was 7th overall in that practice session this morning, and still didn't have the car exactly where he wanted it.
Well, one thing he was talking about, he had trouble on stickers, and one of the problems that you have trying to run a fast lap on new tires is that right front tire locking up getting into turn 1 because it's not really up to temperature as good as you want it, and you're asking it to do a lot. You're asking it to really slow that car down, and sometimes they'll slide that tire. And if you slide it enough, you can put a flat spot on it that will actually ruin the rest of the lap.
Now, what's locking it? The brakes are locking because the car doesn't grip the corner going in?
Yeah, you're going in that corner and you're braking it extremely hard, and you're turning at the same time and unloading that inside tire. And once you unload it, then it allows it to slide. It's really a technique to keep it from happening.
Yeah, and you have obviously you have a full lap to get your car, your tires right, but you don't want to abuse them on that side either, because if you take a grip away from those rear tires too, then you're going to hurt your lap by the time you get finished with the lap that really counts.
Yeah, we see our tracker there, and you can see all the ups and downs, and that's all compared to Montoya's lap, and you can see the differences. And I love this kind of tracker because you can see a lot of places where you are picking up time or losing time, and you can see where Paul lost quite a bit of time there in that second segment.
Yeah, this is really going to be interesting as you saw those 4 different trap that we have here to find the speed and compare these guys, and you can see Paul's off just a little bit as to what Montoya ran.
He's about 3/10 slower than what he ran in practice this morning. In fact, Paul Menard's best qualifying effort was here a year ago. He started 27th, so he has not exactly had the best of luck here, just still trying to get his road course legs under him.
His first Cup race was here on a road course. He drove for me in his very first Cup race, Paul did.
So he slows down, and finally Denny Hamlin, last week's winner, has made it to his car He must have my kind of speed the way he got there in such a hurry. Let's check in with Juan Pablo Montoya. Vince.
Juan, first one out in qualifying. How was your car during that run?
Well, I thought Chevy was okay. Being the first one out doesn't help. We're actually not the first one out. I don't know why Danny conveniently being the first one out was late. So it kind of sucks, but it's what it is.
Was the car to your liking?
No, we missed the setup a little. We were a lot better in practice. But
Juan Pablo Montoya. Doc.
He did not want to be the first one on the racetrack. Made no bones about it. Here's Denny Hamlin on the track after that win last week. His first victory in 50 races. And Denny has a pretty good record here. He's been here 3 times. He's got 3 top 10 starts and 3 top 10 finishes.
Yeah, I don't know that we look at Denny Hamlin as somebody we say, okay, yeah, he's a really good road racer. He's very solid on these road courses. He does a great job. He keeps his car on track, and he comes out with the finishes, which is what you have to do. Once again, this is a high braking area. This first corner can really make or break your lap. If you can nail that corner, see Denny's a little bit wide there. He was able to carry speed, but you really would rather keep all 4 tires left there.
Now, you can see that first segment right there. He is better than Juan Pablo Montoya, and we talked about how he was loose off that corner and lost some speed. And you can see that speed will carry all the way up this, in through the S's and up through this back straightaway.
Yeah, this to me, he had a teammate at Joe Gibbs Racing for his first couple of years, and Tony Stewart, and that's where Tony Stewart always beats people up through the S's. I know they were up here testing, and I'm sure that Denny Hamlin learned a lot from Tony in making speed there.
Man, look at this right here. He's really beating Montoya through this corner, turn 9. And down this straightaway. This is a short straightaway.
Yeah.
Some guys will actually even not quite get high gear here. They'll be in 3rd gear, and they run it as far as they can. They hard brake into this corner, and you got to be careful not to wheel hop. If you ever wheel hop right there, you're going to wind up in that gravel to the right there.
Yeah, this car looks really, really strong. Denny being very smooth with the throttle and the steering wheel.
Denny making our tracker look like an Etch-a-Sketch. He's going up and down and up and down, and great job by Hamlin. He was 2nd quickest overall in the morning practice.
Good lap.
Wow. 71.653. That is actually a little bit slower than what he ran in the practice, but certainly good enough right now to make him fastest among the 3 that have gone out.
He said if he could run and match his practice speed, he would be happy after running the Nationwide car. And having to jump out of that car and right into this one is pretty difficult.
Yeah, and I'd have to say that the track is probably slower. We've seen everybody slow down. It's heated up even more, even though it's not extremely hot here today. But you've also had other cars out there putting, rubber and oil and everything else down on the racetrack.
The other thing is, it seems like, sticker tires are good, but it seems like if you can run a lap or so on them that you can get I don't know if it's a driver rhythm or what it is, but it seems like you can just run a little bit quicker as you go. And the fuel load, they're qualifying now with a full load of fuel, and that's obviously not as desirable as you would like. And in practice, you can run the cars lower on fuel.
Here's Bobby Labonte, the 2000 Series champion, and boy, what a lick he took last week at Pocono. Got a little tap from behind, and that car just slammed the wall right at the point where they're running about 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, I think, and we're coming back to a place he took a hard lick at the end of the race last year, so he'd like to forget both of those if he could, but Bobby stays in good shape, so that allows him to get back in the cars and be okay and continue going.
He ought to have this road racing down pat. He's run 33 road course races in this series.
He's got 11 top 10 finishes. His best finish on a road course, 4th out at Infineon back in 2000, the year he won the championship.
So far, we haven't seen anybody really lock up that front tire, Andy, getting into one. So you want to be careful. You have to brake hard, but you've got to let the car roll so that you can pick the throttle up. Very fast part of the racetrack right here, too. I always felt that this was where I felt speed more because you're turning the car right and left. You're picking up the one tire and then the other one, but you have to stay in the throttle. And then on top of that, you got to shift gears.
And you got those guardrails standing up on each side.
Well, he was hanging on trying to get that one woed down and get it in the bus stop.
Well, you try to carry a lot of speed in there. I think Robbie Gordon's one that all kind of showed everybody how fast you could get in there when there was a big high curbing there to start with. They've kind of evened that out a little bit now, but you really try to carry your speed in there and see if you can get that car to stick, straighten it out as much as you can. Looked like Bobby carried a lot of speed through it, but he wasn't able to really carry it on the exit.
Left-hander, which is turn 10. He'll head for turn 11, come underneath the bridge and take the checkered flag. In practice, Bobby was 35th. His best lap, a 72.851. Let's see if he can beat that.
He beats it by just a sliver.
That still puts him 4th overall. And DJ mentioned Robbie Gordon, who couldn't wait to get back to this place. Dave.
And Robbie Gordon stands by with one of the more unusual days here at Watkins Glen. What happened to your transmission?
Well, kind of a freak deal, you know. I would say bad casting from the casting manufacturer, but the top of the shifter broke off it. It's nothing that Mid-Valley guys did. It's just something happened maybe in the process of casting that part. But you know, it was very porous underneath there, and went down the back straight and went to go grab the shifter, and it wasn't there.
You really grabbed it?
No, I went to grab it. It vibrated. It cracked itself under vibration, not because I'm so strong and I ripped it off there. You know, our car's good. We've done a couple qualifying laps. I know we only ended up like 15th in practice, but you know what I saw out there is the track seemed very, very loose to me for a one-lap run. In qualifying, you only get to do one lap. So I think a lot of those times that were posted on the board were 2 consecutive laps in a row where the tires were really good coming to the green. Here with fresh tires, we're gonna have to get some grip in the thing before we come to the green, and hopefully we've got enough that we can have enough grip to get up through the S's wide open.
All right, and one of the good news things in this story is they did get some laps after they replaced that whole transmission. Vince?
We spoke with Denny Hamlin just a few moments ago before he went out for his qualifying run, and he said curious about how the car is going to be, or how you're going to be after jumping from the Nationwide car straight to the Cup car. How was that difference?
It's a big difference. You know, you know, someone that didn't run Nationwide probably could have run maybe a 20 there or something like that, 11:20. So, but it's, you know, I'll take that. I said anything in the 11s I'd be happy with, just because it's very tough going back and forth. The two cars drive so differently.
Robbie Gordon was just talking about the track conditions with one lap compared to maybe a couple of laps back-to-back in practice. How would you assess the track and the way the car gripped?
Yeah, I agree with Robbie there. I think it's a little bit tougher to back up your time when you just got one lap. This isn't like an oval track where you can just kind of knock off that one great lap. This one, it's more about rhythm than it is anything, and you know, that's why it's going to be tough for people to back up their lap or even make it quicker. So for us to be within 3/10, you know, I'll take it.
Yep. Solid run for Denny Hamlin here in qualifying, Doc.
Vince, that's exactly what Kyle Busch would like to have, as a solid run. But boy, he was screaming up the backstretch and almost got away from him there at the inner loop.
And he had a good run going, but he tried to get a little too much out of it and had the car extremely sideways, cost him a lot of time on the exit of turn 9.
He'll come down and is going to be lucky to get this car in the top 3, and he is second. 71.992, so even with the bobble, well, he had a shot at maybe putting this thing on the pole.
That was at least a half second.
But we know he can be good on road courses. He won at Infineon a year ago, and he came here to Watkins Glen to see if he could sweep both of the NASCAR Sprint Cup road course races, and indeed he did. From the first starting spot by virtue of points, he led 52 laps and won it a year ago here at the Glen. Two months ago at Sonoma, California, Casey Kane was on a mission, but repeatedly with double file restarts, he had to hold off Tony Stewart. But when the checkered was waving, it was Kane that somehow held on and went back to victory lane, taking the King Richard Petty to victory lane for the first time in a decade. Casey Kane, what a memorable, what an emotional moment to be able to know you could take the King Richard Petty to victory lane. It hadn't happened in 364 races. Now we'll see if Casey Kane can sweep both of them. First of all, he's got to get the car qualified, hopefully in the top 10.
It was only 26 in practice. Some cars didn't get a good lap or qualifying type run in practice. This may have been the case with Casey Kane. But man, what a great run he had out in California. That'd have been the last place I would have thought this team would have gotten their first win this season.
Yeah, as much as he's won on the ovals and difficult racetracks, you just wouldn't expect that. But I think he showed us that he is the complete race driver.
This is the same car that they used at California, where he qualified 5th and won the race, snapping that 37 race winless streak.
Very important on that exit right there, as we saw with Kyle Busch just a minute ago. He got his car extremely sideways there. I think Casey looked like he was struggling a little bit right in the center of what we call turn 9 there. Like he couldn't get his car turned and back to the gas as hard as he wanted. You can see the exit speed that hurt him quite a bit. Fast corner right here. This is really the fastest left-handed corner that you'll actually have as far as turning. This leads to the last corner. This is a rolling kind of right-hand corner. Use up a lot of racetrack here. You'll see guys even kick up some dirt there as they exit the very last corner.
KCO flash by, 4th overall, 72.371. Let's go down to Vince.
With Kyle Busch, had his hands full through the bus stop there, Kyle, but still able to post the second quickest time. How would you assess it?
Horrible. Just worst lap I've hit all day. Just horrendous. So unfortunately, I don't think it'll be a good enough starting spot for us, and we'll just have to battle from wherever we get a start and have to race up through there and pass all the guys. But sorry to all the M&M's guys and everybody at Toyota. It's just I don't know if it's me or what, but fortunately, I'm fighting something.
Doc?
He talked about racing up through there. Right now, he's second. He may have to go too far. That's still a very good lap. But here's Kevin Harvick here at Watkins Glen. He's won here, and also 2 years ago, he had a little run-in in turn 1 with Juan Pablo Montoya. Here's how it all started out.
See, Montoya was trying to make a block on Truex, and he got into the back of him, and then Harvick became a part of it.
And then they get out and agree to disagree, grab a little helmet and get face to face. Little passion back and forth.
Well, always two sides to every story. Or argument, disagreement, whatever you want to call it.
We're going to have double file restarts.
Yeah, you probably won't have anything like that.
Yeah, you thought that was big.
Yeah, that'll be mild. That'll be definitely be a little bit different this weekend. We'll see what Kevin Harvick can do. We mentioned he has been good on the road courses, particularly here where he has won. In practice, he was 3rd overall on the speed charts, and he was the top Chevy.
Yeah, and this is where these guys are talking about having some problems getting their car up through the S's, getting the grip. You heard Robbie Gordon say staying wide open. That's the key here. You hit high gear about right there, but you're in 3rd gear coming up through there, but you have to be wide open in that.
Looked like Kevin had a lot of wheel in turn 1, like the car was really pushing, and it just killed his speed off of that corner. You can see there, and he's starting to pick up a little bit now, but he was tracking 6 as he exited turn 1.
It's just like they're not getting that front grip of the tire, so it's heat. We might see these guys start running this warm-up lap coming to get the green a little bit harder as they see more people experience some problems.
I was going to ask you what Robbie Gordon was talking about, trying to get these tires where they grip a little more. What else could you do other than just try to really heat it up on the warm-up lap?
That's basically it. That's all that you have. You know, in years past, it's been that you just didn't want to take the good out of the tire, but it seems this year that the track is slicker and they're not able to get the heat into the tire like they want, and so it makes a real difference.
Harvick will flash by, and he is 6th. He will not like that lap, considering the fact that he was very, very good in practice earlier in the day. 6 of the 7 cars that have gone thus far. Well, a driver who gave us a bunch of thrills here last year, Marcus Ambrose, standing by with Dave.
And he's going to do it twice more this weekend, both in the Nationwide and the Cup Series race here. Marcus, 6 laps of practice today. Where was your car the best?
Well, we actually had quite a few issues in practice. We didn't get as many laps as we would have wanted. But, you know, if I can qualify better than 43rd, it's a step forward from Sonoma. So we're just going to try and get the most we can out of it today. I think we didn't quite do enough laps to feel confident. But, you know, we're working on keeping the car stable, especially up through the S's. I seem to be quite loose today.
What was one of your issues, Marcos?
Yeah, just get up through the S's. The car was just very, very aggressive on the front end, and he needed to basically run through there wide open, and I just couldn't do it. And it hurts a lot of top speed because you just don't get the momentum that you need. But you know, if the brakes stay on me and I keep my head in the game, I should be somewhere near the front.
All right, good luck to our in-race reporter, guys.
Indeed, we look forward to talking with Marcus throughout the afternoon on Sunday. If you'd like to pose a question, go to ESPN.com, search Ask the Driver. Maybe have your question answered by Marcus Ambrose, as he did a year ago. Boy, 43rd he started a year ago driving for the Wood Brothers and drove all the way to finish 3rd and was coming, just ran out of laps.
Yeah, and you can tell right there from that interview, he's got the biggest part of this track licked already. That's the confidence part. He feels very confident that as long as that car stays together, he'll be up the front.
Here's a 19 car, Elliott Sadler, one of the Richard Petty Motorsports Dodges, out to take his turn. at Watkins Glen.
And you know, one thing might be hurting some of these guys. With qualifying rained out last year, they might have had the same issues and not realized it, that they were going to have it with this car here on this racetrack. So they not being able to have that information from last year's qualifying session, it might have told them they needed to do something a little different air pressure wise or something like that, Andy, to get some more grip.
And this, like we heard him say, in practice, you just don't get the same kind of setup that you do when you put these cars full of fuel on sticker tires and that guy taps your fender and says, give me one lap. Let's see where you line up.
You know, qualifying was rained out. We mentioned 04, 05, and 07, 08. So they only qualified in 06, the only time in the last 5 years. And the important part of that is, folks, the new car, the COT car, started running here in 07 and 08. They've not qualified that car here yet at Watkins Glen until today.
This is the first time. That's why you're seeing a lot of guys dealing with issues.
See, Elliott was going pretty good till he got his car sideways, had to crack the throttle as he came out of the chicane.
That's one place I saw when Hamlin ran his lap. He was actually a little slower at that one point where you see that spike than a lot of cars. And I think that helped him carry speed off of that corner.
6th overall for Elliott Sadler. Let's visit with Jeff Gordon. Dave.
And we're down here near Jeff's car. Of course, Jeff, a 4-time winner, was just finishing up another interview. We'll just lop them all in here together. We haven't talked about something, Jeff, yet today. The fact that there was a motor blown early today. There was a car in the gravel trap. You guys got a lot less practice than you might have normally. Did that affect your day at all?
It did for a little bit. We were in race trim, and when I made one lap, the caution came out, and then went out and made another lap, caution came out. So we had to go into the race trim a little bit longer than we wanted to see what it would do, and then we switched over to qualifying trim. We got 2 runs. We were decent. We need to be a little bit better. I like these times that I'm seeing. I don't know if the track's lost grip or they're coming back to us, but we're going to go out there and run as hard as we can with the DuPont Chevrolet. Hope that the adjustments that we made help the car a little bit and be a little further towards the front than we were in practice.
Jeff, confident as usual here, a 4-time winner at the Glen.
Awfully good at this racetrack. Obviously, you got to be smooth, you got to be aggressive, and now his teammate Jimmy Johnson has not won in NASCAR Sprint Cup competition on the road course, and he's had his issues here back in 2000 in what was then the Busch Series car, now the Nationwide car. Lap 46, and watch this, folks.
Oh, cow. Hey, that's still incredible every time that I see it. Just amazing.
Take your breath. Look at this. Yeah, I made it.
That whole portion of the racetrack has now been changed, where there was just a little bit of gravel and you just shot right across. Now they've paved the area so you can actually
pick up more speed down through there. No, it actually is a runoff area. I wish they'd have done that before 2001. I wouldn't have been stuck in that sand trap down there myself.
Jimmy loose through the S's right there, the first part.
Hearing a lot of guys and seeing a lot of that up through here. And then, as you heard Marcus Ambrose talk about, that kills you your speed up through the back straightaway.
Didn't hurt Jimmy's too much. Look at this speed right here. Right now, he docks that inside front tire up, that right front. You saw some smoke, but man, he is carrying some momentum through here.
Well, he's smoking to the inner loop. Jimmy Johnson, he was 7th in practice.
He's got a great lap going here.
Yeah, really carried a lot of speed out of the corners, every one, even up through the S's where you talked about it looked like he might be out of it a little bit, but he was able to carry that speed. Really fast lap right here.
He's tracking almost a half a second faster than Denny Hamlin's lap. Now he's losing a little bit through that section.
You can see he kind of walked the car through there. Like it wanted to stick, but he just couldn't get all the grip that he needed to get the power down.
He's still going to clear Denny Hamlin by 3/10.
There you have it. Jimmy Johnson right now on the provisional pole, 71.34. So Jimmy giving him something to shoot at. He's never, although he started first here by points, the best he's ever qualified here is 5th. Right now, he is the provisional pole sitter. We invite you to join us for live flag-to-flag coverage Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series from historic Watkins Glen International. Jeff Gordon, a 4-time winner. Tony Stewart, a 4-time winner. Mark Martin, a 3-time winner. Kyle Busch won it a year ago. Can he get back into victory lane? So many stories to follow. Our coverage begins Sunday at 1 o'clock. This driver here, Robbie Gordon, also a winner here over the years. Back in 2003, driving for Richard Childress Racing, Robbie Gordon, the road course ace, now in a stock car, would come down and take the checkered flag. In fact, Robbie Gordon won both road course events in 2003 at Infineon and here at Watkins Glen.
We heard Robbie talking even last week at Pocono how he was looking forward to coming here. He really gets excited about these opportunities at the road courses, and yeah, he felt like that he really gave the race away at Infineon.
So he kind of floated it into turn 1. And
yeah, but he kind of got really wide there in 2, and that hurts you. You really want to be right against that curbing that's there.
If you don't, it just throws you off in all the next corners that comes up here. You can see how much speed he's losing. I talked to Robbie in the garage area. He was very confident that he was going to have a good weekend here.
We just joined our coverage. He told us at the beginning of this session that he lost a shifter. It came off in his hand. A casting cracked, and the transmission cost him some time in the morning practice session. So they've had to get that repaired and get back on the race course. We'll see what he can do here.
If he's going to win on Sunday, he's going to come from a ways back to do it. He's going to have to employ a little strategy, and all of these guys now know the strategy. You can't, not like you used to when we first started that end.
Yeah, everybody's picked the low fruit on that one. It's not going to be easy anymore. Everybody knows how to do it, and it's actually, if you don't know how to do it, you can get yourself behind in a hurry and not even know how you did it.
Yeah, but Robbie's really good at passing too. He'll use his car and a few others too if he has to, but he'll be on a mission come Sunday.
Right now he is 9th of the 10 cars that have gone out to run thus far. Let's go down and visit with Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy, 2/10 quicker than his best practice time. Where did you find it?
We had some trouble trying to make our lap on stickers. The lap that I ran in practice was on old tires, and we've corrected the problem, got the car much closer. I think there was a little bit of speed left out there, but we put up a good number for those guys to go chase down. So I'm real happy with this, the effort we've put in and how hard this Lowe's team has been working. It's going to be nice to have a good view for the front. Hopefully it's on that front row.
Jimmy Johnson, he's not won on a road course yet in his career, but I think maybe got a real good shot at it this weekend.
And this morning, Vince, Jimmy was in the media center, and writer after writer kept asking him, now, is your legacy going to be okay? All these wins you've had, but you've never won on a road course. If you don't win on a road course, will you still have a legacy as a champion? And I look at them and say, are you kidding me? This guy's won 3 in a row and won $46 million. And how many races the last 3 years? And Jimmy said, well, yeah, I guess it would be a little tainted now, wouldn't it?
Okay, here's the fast cat from practice.
Well, Kurt Busch has never won on a road course. Thought he had it won possibly at Sonoma back in June. He was running 4th in the late laps, and there was contact with the champ, Jimmy Johnson. And he goes nosing into the tire, he being Kurt Busch. Had to go to the back of the pack, and he drove his way all the way to a top 15 finish, but not a happy camper.
No, it wasn't their only incident, as a matter of fact, this year. They've had a run-in or two, but kind of made things exciting. But Kurt was the fastest guy in practice, as Andy said. We'll see if he can back that up.
He was a half a second faster than anybody in practice, and almost a half a second faster than Jimmy Johnson has run so far. So he's got the car to do it if he can just back up his practice speed. You can see now he's in the green all the way up through here.
The last time we actually had qualifying at this race course back in 2006, it was this guy who sat on the pole, Kurt Busch.
Yeah, he was the only guy in the 72nd bracket in practice. That's an extremely fast lap. He's going to have to pick it up just a little. You can see he was tracking okay.
He's still close enough to strike, though. He's less than 1/10 of a second right here. Still going the wrong way, though. Right here's a place you can make up a little bit of time through this left hand.
Yeah, we saw Jimmy get a little bit loose right there, so
does make up a little.
Pick up a little bit.
Okay, it's going to be close. If he can get off of here, it's going the right way.
He's coming. Here he comes. Is he going to beat Jimmy Johnson?
Oh,
not quite.
Wow,
thousandths of a second off of Jimmy Johnson.
Oh, my gosh. 71.348. And Jimmy ran a 71.340. How about that?
Yeah, you can go amazing. You can go around 11 turns like that, and you're going to end up 8 1/1000ths of a second difference.
That makes Jimmy Johnson feel pretty good about his lap now, though.
Matt Kenseth, the next guy to go out to qualify. Now, Matt has not been known as a road course racer, but one thing Matt is known for is being fan-friendly. In fact, Matt, during the red flag a year ago, was just sitting in the car, and 07, I should say, and a fan comes over and wants the autograph. He said, you might want to wait till I'm done here. Let me finish the race, and I'll be happy to sign it for you.
Well, you never know unless you ask.
We always talk about how these drivers are accessible,
That's what they say about our sport. That may be taking it to the extreme there.
Yeah, turn 11 is a little too accessible. Let's see what Matt can do here with his qualifying laps. Landmark weekend for Matt Kenseth. He'll be making his 350th career start. Started his career in NASCAR Sprint Cup back in September at Dover, Delaware in 1998.
You know, we talk about and joke maybe a little bit that maybe Matt's not the road racer, but he really is solid. He does a good job, does he? Yeah, has he been the guy out there leading the laps at these places? Maybe no, but he is really solid, and that's what this team needs this weekend to keep themselves in that top 12.
Yeah, and they finished 12th in the last 2 races here, and that, like you say, that's nothing stellar, but it's not anything to sneeze at either, because this is a hard racetrack, and to get a 12th place finish last 2 years is not easy.
Well, he's struggling a little bit so far in this lap.
You know, Matt is so good at so many other racetracks, and we always talk about how smooth he is and how consistent he is. So you'd think he'd be good on a road course, but in 19 road course starts in a Sprint Cup car, he has never had a top 5 finish.
He is a champion. Say about that?
Yeah, he is a
made
champion.
It work, you know.
He did it without being stellar on the road courses.
It looks like with this time, though, that they're going to have to really work hard on Sunday if they're going to find themselves in a top 15 spot at the end of the day. This is just a difficult place. There are more places on this racetrack to pass than there are at Infineon, but it's still very difficult because a lot of these cars are so equal. The drivers now have a lot of time on the road courses, so it makes it more difficult to make these spots up, and that is our slowest time so far.
Wow.
Matt, one of many veterans trying to be able to find their way to victory lane on a road course. It may surprise you, some of the best drivers in the sport have not won on a road course in NASCAR Sprint Cup competition. Look at Cousin Carl, Jimmy, Matt, and Jeff Burton. Sprint Cup qualifying continuing here at Watkins Glen International. That is the 31 car of Jeff Burton on the racetrack. Let's go down to Vince.
Well, Kurt Busch just said could have been better. What would have been better for you?
Well, we could have stayed on track, or we could have gone off track real easy. So I felt like I just drove too conservative, and I didn't think we'd come up shot. I really thought we had a good car, and the crew gave me a great car right off the truck, and so I just feel bad I didn't deliver for the Miller Lite Dodge team.
Very close, though, just 0.08 of a second behind the provisional pole sitter, Jimmy Johnson.
Right now, it's 2 guys that haven't won a road course race on the front row, Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch. And, oh, by the way, they did have that little run-in out of California, so that could be interesting.
That would be an interesting front row, wouldn't it? But we have a lot of guys to go trying to knock them off.
We mentioned Jeff Burton is one of those drivers still looking for his first victory lane on a road course. His best finish in 31 road course starts came here back in 2001, where he finished second. See, some of these guys just look so smooth up through the S's, and other guys are just hustling the car from one side of the track to the other.
You miss that first turn in the S's, it seems like it just sets it up where you just can't hardly hit any of the rest of the corners till you get up to the bus stop.
Yeah, because you're chasing it from there. As we see Jeff get a little bit sideways out of the chicane there. But yeah, you just start chasing it from there, and you know that your car is not gripping. It just doesn't allow you to put the power down. You've already not set yourself up properly for the next corner, so you're not going to be able to make it wide open up through there like you have to make a really fast lap.
We're comparing him now to Jimmy Johnson, our pole sitter. Johnson ran a 71.340 second lap. Jeff Burton has 4 top 5 starts at Watkins Glen. This will not be a top 5 today. Right now he is 12th of the 13 that have gone out so far. Let's go down and visit with a 3-time winner here, Dave.
And that is Mark Martin, who showed up 29th on the charts, but that doesn't always tell us everything as far as speed goes. Did you guys make a mock qualifying run, Mark, or what was the issue today?
We were pretty slow today. We didn't really never did get the car working. So we kind of thrown some different stuff at it for this qualifying run, and I'll get the best lap that I can, and we'll keep working. But we certainly didn't have it in practice.
When you only get the one timed lap, how important is that warm-up lap then to see what you've got?
You pretty much, you just got to let it rip. You know, it's not so much that. We just got to let it rip. I mean, that's what we do every time we strap in anyway. So I'll go out there and I'll get everything that I can get and try to get us our best lap that we can. And tomorrow we'll try to get it, you know, dialed in and working where we can do some business on Sunday.
All right, Doc, we're about 9 cars away from Mark's qualifying lap.
Thank you, Dave. I got to believe Mark will be very good when that car goes out. He'll get it. He'll get her in the win. Mark will be up on that wheel. Here's a guy, Marcus Ambrose. We talked about the thrills he gave us here a year ago, back in June at Infineon. He started third, or qualified third, had to go to the back of the pack because of an engine change and drove it all the way from the back at Infineon to finish third back in June.
Well, he's shown that he has the talent and the speed to get around these road courses. He has the know-how. He really is. I mean, talk about smooth. When I watch him, it just doesn't look like he's hustling the car all that much. But then you look at the time or the spots that he makes up when he gets in the race, and he just does an incredible job. And I really think, well, this is looking pretty good so far. But I really think that the lack of qualifying efforts with this car on this racetrack is throwing a lot of these guys a curve. You know, they haven't qualified this car here. I just think that there's something that they're trying to do from the old car that they're trying to make happen with this car, and it's really getting them out of shape.
Came back up toward Jimmy Johnson there, entering the bus stop. Now has lost it out of turn 9, going the wrong direction. See if he can pick it up as he comes sailing through turn 10 here.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be a pole run, but it's going to be a good solid run. And as long as he doesn't have any issues in practice, then he's going to have himself a much better starting spot than what he's been used to.
That's the thing. He's been starting all these races from the back. If he can start anywhere in the top, inside the top 10, it's going to give him a lot better shot on Sunday. Okay. He's got that right here. I think this is going to be a good lap for him when it's all said and done.
Yeah, 4th overall for Marcus Ambrose. That's about 30 closer than he started a year ago. So here. Now, Marcus Ambrose had a great weekend in 2008 here, and it all began with the NASCAR Nationwide Series, where Ambrose was able to go to victory lane for the first time in his career. What an effort for Marcus Ambrose, the popular Tasmanian, who put on a driving exhibition here on the road course in the Nationwide car.
It was really fun to watch him that day. That paint scheme, like Richard Petty, that was really cool to see that, and for him to get that first victory.
Saw the 7-footer in victory lane 2 there, by the way, Brad Doherty.
Yeah. He's hard to miss, isn't he?
He's the only guy the champagne couldn't reach when they sprayed it in the air.
It got him in the kneecap.
Here's Jeff Gordon. Andy will be here all week, folks. Here's Jeff Gordon out to qualify, the 4-time winner at this racetrack. And Mr. Smooth when it comes to Watkins Glen.
He just gets the job done each and every time here. As you said, and that's the key, is he is really smooth. He worked really hard at becoming a good road racer. I think it goes back to he and Ray Evernham really put a lot of time into learning about racing on the road courses, getting the transmissions and the gearing that Jeff liked. And so they've just continued to adapt that to Jeff's driving style, and that's what makes him so good and consistent.
Jeff celebrated his 38th birthday on Tuesday. 4-time Cup champion. 82 career wins. He is 6th all-time on the win list. One more and it will tie him with Cale Yarborough with 83.
Seems like he's been around here for 25 years.
He does hold the all-time pole qualifying record. He said back in 2003 at 124.5 miles an hour. That's not any risk of being broken today, which he just wants to get this car on the front row.
Seemed very conservative all the way through turn 1, getting into 1. See, he's only tracking 12th fastest so far. This is very uncharacteristic for Jeff Gordon.
I think that in his interview a while ago, he was liking the speeds that he was seeing, but hoping that it wasn't going to slow his car down, you know. But I think he's finding out now that maybe the racetrack is quite a bit different, and trying to qualify these cars is a little more of a handful than what he was hoping it would be. You could tell that his car wasn't exactly to his liking in practice, and it looks like the changes they made aren't going to be what he was looking for either.
I mean, he's going to be extremely disappointed with this lap. He's a 1.3 seconds off of Jimmy Johnson. And then remember, these cars come out of the same shop. Definitely missing something here, though, on the setup.
He just got slower from the bus stop on all the way back over to turn 11. And as you said, Andy, disappointment. He is 14th right now out of the 15 cars that have gone out to attempt to qualify. So right now, Jeff Gordon is 14th, and his teammate, the reigning champion, Jimmy Johnson, on the provisional pole, signing autographs for some of the fans here at Watkins Glen. Qualifying ongoing here at Watkins Glen International. That 00 car, David Rudiman, one of the Michael Waltrip Racing Toyotas on the racetrack. And Rudiman, who was having a great run a week ago at Pocono, ended up with a very disappointing finish as he ends up sliding across toward the guardrail with just 10 laps to go. And that cost him 3 spots in the point standings, from 13th back to 16th.
Yeah, he was really needing a good week last week because he knew that coming to Watkins Glen is more of survival mode for them. But that really hurt them last week. He was having a good, solid race and unfortunately got tapped coming out of turn 3. So he's going to have to really try to make something of this weekend and then continue on with some tracks that are pretty good for him coming up.
Well, they use every inch of racetrack coming underneath the bridge to take the checkered flag, and they were just hoping to be able to get this in the top 15, and right now he is 12th of the 16 cars that have gone so far. David Rudiman, the 00 car, 72.744 seconds. Lots of motorsports to come your way throughout the weekend. Of course, our NASCAR Sprint Cup Happy Hour coming your way at 1:30 Eastern Time tomorrow on ESPN2. Live coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup race at Watkins Glen, 1 o'clock on Sunday, beginning with NASCAR Countdown. Now, coming up next, Marty Reed will be sliding in here in my spot and taking over the NASCAR Nationwide Series for their practice. And, of course, qualifying tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And then flag-to-flag coverage at 2:30 Eastern Time of the NASCAR Nationwide cars at Watkins Glen. Updating everything that's happened today, NASCAR Now tonight at 6:30 Eastern Time. And, of course, NASCAR Now presented by 5 Hour Energy at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, pre-race edition on ESPN2.
You saw Vickers. Now, that right there is going to cost him a little bit. He skipped that interlude to get some heat in it.
Well, he's won 5 poles this year. Could he make it 6? He's the only one that's done it so far. Maybe he knows something we don't know.
We'll see.
It's a moment of truth. Green flag's out.
Oh, no, that's not good.
But, man, he carried some speed over that bump, though. He had a handful getting in that corner.
He actually didn't lose as much time as I would have thought, but he's paying for it now.
Brian Vickers has been here at 5 times to Watkins Glen, has 1 top 10 finish. That was 8th in 2005. So what he does here on the bus stop.
I always knew that was an option that you could do that, but I like going through that chicane. Even though you might not have gone full speed, it just gave you the feel of what you needed in the car, to me. And but Brian thought he'd try something a little different. Car's just not, the back end's not stuck very well. You can see that's what happened as you got into turn 1 and then as you exited turn 9 there.
He is attacking the racetrack. You can see he's really trying to get the car to do what he wants it to do, and it's just not hardly cooperating. That was close there.
There's not many people. Yeah, 2 people that come to mind that can really, and they're normally very smooth, but when their car isn't very good, Ron Fellows and Boris said to me, if their car's not exactly what they want, they can hustle it around and do. If your car's not very good, you're going to have a tough time making something happen with it. And it's almost like the harder you try, the slower you're going to go.
So 10th overall for Brian Vickers at a 72.677. The 5-time pole sitter. Not bad considering the fact that he heated up those tires on that warm-up lap. We are at Watkins Glen International. We told you it is a 2.45-mile course. Now, there's a very large road course here. And, of course, the whole course involves the boot, which normally the Indy cars and the Grand Prix cars ran over the years. NASCAR only runs the short course, which is 11 turns and just under 2.5 miles.
Yeah, as our car makes a lap here, just go around here. We're going to get over here to see up the back straightaway to our bus stop here out of turn 9. Then we talked about this straightaway here going to turn 10. You have to be careful right here not to wheel hop, get yourself off in the gravel, because you can get stuck there, as happened earlier today with Clint Boyer.
See Clint goes sailing in there and just plowed in with that splitter into the gravel. and buried that thing up to the nose. To Dave.
And guys, catching up with the crew right now, and I'm going to hook Shane Wilson right into this conversation because I understand that the vacuum cleaner was one of the biggest tools used to adjust on this car today. Is that right?
Yeah, we had a little incident, but well, yeah, we all as a team have incidents, you know. But we were having a good day. Just got off in the sand a little bit, a little too loose right then.
A lot, actually.
Yeah, okay.
There's a lot.
Okay.
So you're able to resolve your differences and tune on this car after Shane got all the gravel out of it.
I really appreciate our leader here, Shane Wilson, saying that sticking up for me. Just got off a little bit. It actually took a 2-ton wrecker to get the car out of the rocks that I placed it in. So try not to do that. I know how to do that now. I'm going to try not to do that again and hopefully qualify somewhere up towards the front.
I know Shane revised the crew as to what time practice was extended to and said it's very important that we get at least one lap on the track. So did you get a couple laps after they cleaned it out?
Yeah, we did. Took a couple laps to knock all the rocks out from underneath of it. They finally did, and we're just way too loose. We've been fighting that and, trying things. That's what you got to do. You got to be able to come to these tracks, attack. We need to press forward. We got to catch up and run these guys down, and the way to do that is to try and change and improve your program. So hats off to Shane and everybody for doing that. And, I was just trying on my end of it, trying too much too. So pull the reins back a little bit and get us a good lap, and hopefully we'll be okay.
33 team's been putting on a charge lately, guys.
Indeed, yes. So is David Stremme. He was 6th quickest in practice, and he backs it up 5th quickest in qualifying.
Yeah, very nice lap. You can see him go after the racetrack, but it looks like these Penske cars are pretty good here, ain't it?
Yeah, I was just looking at practice. You saw all 3 of the Penske cars in the top 8 in practice, so Sam Hornish still left to go.
18 cars have gone thus far. It is Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch on the front row. Because the primary car he was to qualify had an incident in practice. He said he got into some oil dry, and that's the Armco barrier he bounced off of down in turn 1.
Dinged her up just a little bit there. They could fix this car, but he had a really good car in the truck, so they decided to pull it out and qualified in the top 11 so far.
Currently on the pole is Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car. Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch, these two drivers have never won road course on a road course, as good as they have been. Both of them, of course, Jimmy a 3-time champion. Kurt Busch also a NASCAR Sprint Cup champion. And the guy who sits 3rd right now on the charts, Ryan Newman with Vince.
Ryan Newman having an outstanding season this season, 9th currently in points. Do you like this road course racing? What challenges you about it?
Oh, it's fun. I like hustling the cars. I don't think it's the greatest racing that we do all season. I think it's good racing, but just the passing zones and whatnot kind of lend itself to a little bit more strategy in the pits and that situation than it does racing. So it's fun. The U.S. Army Chevrolet was pretty good in practice and qualifying. We were better in race trim than we were in qualifying trim there. So we'll see what if we can shine that up a little bit tomorrow. We'll be in good shape.
You're also driving the Nationwide car this weekend. What kind of challenge does that create for you to go back from one and the other? The cars are so different.
Well, it's not easy to, the transition's not easy, but it's manageable, and you're doing both of them, to win races, number 1, but number 2, to get the experience and learn more about the tires and the racetrack and everything else. So there is an advantage that, to me, outweighs that disadvantage.
Ryan Newman, currently 6th on the speed chart.
Thank you, Vince. And we have a number of drivers who are going to run in both events. There are the double duty drivers running here throughout the weekend for the NASCAR Nationwide Series and the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Lots of talent there on the road course. You see Boris Said over there. Guys that are very good when it comes to turning left and right.
Yeah, a lot of good guys there. But, you see all of these guys wanting to get just track time and seat time because it is so different than what you do all year. Yeah, as much time as you can get. And there's not a lot of practice to be had here for either one. So you can get in a race and learn what you can do and what you can't do with the cars and where you can pass. So just a lot of these guys trying to take advantage. 18 of them are going to try to be in both the races.
Reed Sorensen on the track, his qualifying effort. His best finish on a road course came here back in 2006 when he was 12th, and he clocks in 19th overall of the 23 cars that have gone out to take a time.
It's been all but impossible for all these guys to back up that practice time that they put down. You see, that's about 6/10 slower than he practiced.
Yeah, I think we've only seen 2 guys, Jimmy Johnson and Bobby Labonte, I believe, are the only guys really that have picked up much. I think Patrick Carpentier, but that was a situation where he went from one car to the next. But for the most part, these guys just haven't been able to do that. And I think it comes down to qualifying and trying to get almost too much out of these things. And these guys, it's easy to overdrive them. And once you start that, then it's hard to pick it back up.
We'll have all the coverage coming your way for 90 laps here on the demanding Watkins Glen International Course. Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series action. Right now, Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch on the pole. It was Kyle Busch who led 52 laps and went to victory lane here 1 year ago. This next driver out to qualify has not been at this racetrack in 2 years, not since 2006, because he was running a limited schedule. But now, a three-time pole sitter and three-time winner, Mark Martin, back at Watkins Glen.
One thing he doesn't have to worry about is nobody else has any more experience than what he had in qualifying, because they hadn't qualified here the last 2 years. So that hasn't made it. He hadn't lost anything in that respect.
He's got teammates on both ends of the spectrum here, with Jimmy Johnson on the pole and Jeff Gordon 21st out of 23 cars so far.
So you'd venture to say that Mark's going to be somewhere in between them?
I would say that'd be a good bet.
Mark wasn't overly optimistic that his car would sit on the front row, but folks, the 3 times he has won the pole here, 94, 95, and 96, he also won the race.
Well, he knows how to get it done, and I know that if we talked to Mark, he would talk more about having a solid weekend. I think he probably looks at this as they try to make this chase, even though he's told us time and time again that he's out here to win races and he'll let the chase take care of itself, that he's just looking for a good, solid weekend. And it was going okay, lost a lot of time right there.
Yeah, he did. He lost quite a bit of time through that set of corners. I talked to Mark last week at Pocono in some downtime, and he said that, you know, the fact that they've won 4 races has really kind of exceeded anything he dreamed of. But he can't hardly picture himself being at the break point of the chase. I mean, with all that success they've had, it's hard to believe that they're having to really watch themselves as far as points.
And Andy, last week at Pocono, he finished 7th and still lost a spot in the points, moved from 9th to 10th. I mean, it's going to be tight getting in this chase here down these last 5 races.
Yeah, he lost a spot, but he also widened that gap from that is back to 13th. So it was a successful day in that respect.
He ran the identical time to Reed Sorensen's lap. Not sure exactly what's going on with those Hendrick team cars, with Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin being so far down, and Jimmy Johnson up there on the pole. I'm sure they're going to have a little team meeting after this qualifying session, see if they can bring some of these cars back up to the top.
Mark Martin, the good thing about Mark Martin is he has such a great average finish at these racetracks. I mean, you know, if he can finish the race, he's going to be there in the top 5 or top 10. You look at the risk and reward of the guys 9th through 16th in the points, and you see Martin there 7th. By far the best average finish at this racetrack.
That's all he needs on Sunday is an average day, and he's going to come away looking pretty good.
Yeah, now Greg Biffle will look at that stat and say that doesn't mean anything because it doesn't benefit him, so he's just not paying any attention to that.
And I hope Greg Biffle has a better finish than
he certainly
is
I
due.
think he will.
I agree. By the way, Mark Martin has 42 road course starts, 19 here, 19 at Infineon, and 4 at Riverside, California, if you don't count the one in the Roman Coliseum back years ago.
Sam Hornish, both Penske cars that have run so far are in the top 5, so look for Sam to have a good run. He was up in the top 10 in practice, 8th overall.
Yeah, coming off his best race in a Sprint Cup car last week, did a phenomenal job at Pocono.
Boy, they were all pumped. I talked to Sam down in the garage area just about an hour before qualifying. They were excited about what happened at Pocono. Very excited about the fact that, as you heard David Stremme say, they took all the Penske cars down to VIR and tested and thought they really had learned something with the cars and with the drivers getting comfortable on road courses.
Well, so far, it's really showing that they've done their homework. It just shows that all of these guys can be good road racers if you give them the proper equipment. And look at Sam Hornish go up through the S's here.
Man, he's got something going right here. The last time a Penske car won was in 1996 when they went on a road course with Rusty Wallace driving. Oh, a little bit loose, get into the bus stop.
Wow.
That's going to cost him dearly there.
Man, he had a great lap going.
Man, he is going to look back on this, and he is going to be sick when he sees that green. Oh, my goodness. He really had something going there.
He is charging, though, isn't he? I was talking with him about what happened in the late laps at Pocono where he got past. He just charged right back under a guy and turned under him. He said he wasn't going to give up. He wasn't giving up there on the inner loop.
Unfortunately, he lost a second or so there, and that's just going to cost. He actually lost more than that. You can see he's 1.7 behind now, and he was pretty
ahead.
solid in the green.
Yeah.
So what could have been a front row start for Sam Hornish goes away in the inner loop, and Sam right now the second slowest car of those that have qualified, a 73+ second lap.
Yeah, and what we're going to see, let's watch the replay. He's carrying more speed up through here because it's probably the fastest lap that he's made. You can see the car getting loose starting with on the turn in, and he's just not able to slow it down. You can apply brakes, but he's just in a terrible position. Got completely off the racetrack. Then it's just a matter of trying to salvage a lap at all.
Tough break for Sam, though. That was a good run spoiled.
But the good news is we'll get a chance to watch him come through the field on Sunday because he's got a good race car, and they are very comfortable about their race setup here for Sunday afternoon. There's the lawnmower, otherwise known as the splitter, on the front of his Dodge, where they mowed through some of that grass and gravel.
He'll have some company back there, too. If you look at Jeff Gordon and some of the other ones, Jeff Burton, Mark Martin back there, too. So he'll have some company coming through the field.
Yeah, it just makes it tough as a driver because now you go back to your motorhome on Friday night and you're so just disgusted with yourself. You knew you had a good car. You know, you're disappointed that you've let your team down because they gave you a really good car. He'll get over it. He'll have a good practice session tomorrow and then just drive the wheels off of it on Sunday. But it makes for a long Friday night.
And we will cover that practice session tomorrow, by the way. Here we'll be here to cover happy hour. Here's Martin Truex, 29-year-old driver that his best finish this year is 6th at Darlington. He set on the pole in Daytona in February. Hard to believe the last time Martin Truex had a top 5 finish was Watkins Glen right here 1 year ago.
Definitely likes this place. I guess being close to home makes him race a little harder here and has a little more at stake.
Has done a good job qualifying on road courses in the past. He started 6th out at Infineon back in June.
You'd almost have to rate this one of the, if not the most difficult track to qualify, wouldn't you, Dale?
Well, I mean, it's certainly, I always thought that Infineon was the toughest place that I went to try to qualify. And I think the 2 road courses are the most difficult. But again, with these guys not having, I hate to keep bringing this up, but not having the experience of driving this car in qualifying conditions, I think really is having a lot to do with these guys knowing how far over that edge they can take it and maybe changes that they would make to their car. Now, I'm sure that they'll have plenty of notes as we see out of turn 10, Martin really getting his car sideways. I think there's a lot to be gained from finally getting in a qualifying session here with this car.
And to explain what you're talking about. Loose.
Yeah.
This configuration car came out in 2007, and qualifying was rained out here in 07 and 08. So this actually is the first time they have qualified this new configuration car for the Cup Series here at Watkins Glen. So a lot of guessing going on. Also a lot of slipping and sliding on the racetrack. Still lots of cars to come in qualifying, including Dale Earnhardt Jr., who, by the way, has won here in the Nationwide car in the past. David Reagan slowing down after qualifying 26 of the 27 cars that have gone out, a brand new car, and still trying to find some speed there in his UPS Ford. Next guy out is Smoke, and that's exactly what he has been here over the years. Tony Stewart has had an incredible record. He has finished either 1st or 2nd in 6 of the last 7 races he's run here, including 4 wins. So we'll see what Tony can do here in his qualifying lap.
I was really impressed. He probably held that car out wider entering turn 1 than anybody we've seen so far. He made it stick and was able to carry some speed through there. He's losing some speed here as they go up through the S's, though. His record here is just phenomenal, though.
It is. You look, we got a sheet here that shows all of the things he's done. It's just incredible. And great road racer.
Boy, look how he just hustles it across that curve, bounces that left front tire in the air, and then cuts it hard left.
This place has really thrown a loop to a lot of guys, though. You see with Jeff Gordon back there as far as he is, and now he looks like Tony's not going to be nearly as far up as he thought he would be. I mean, he's already a 2nd behind the pole sitter. It's been a real tricky qualifying session.
Same car he raced at Infineon, where he qualified 4th, led twice for 11 laps, and finished 2nd to Casey Kane. Let's see where he'll start here on Sunday.
That's going to put him 10th now. He really made up some time those last couple of corners and got himself back in a different.
Turn at the bottom of the hill.
So ended up to be a pretty decent lap for Tony.
He finished last week at 10th at Pocono after a struggle, and he finishes up 10th here in qualifying after a bit of a struggle. Let's go down to Vince.
With Sam Hornish Jr. didn't have the time ultimately that he certainly would have hoped going early on, actually on pace for pole speed, but some trouble in the bus stop. What happened?
We've been having problems with the brake pedal kind of going halfway down, and either got some air in the system or something's not right, and we tried to fix it in practice, knew that it wasn't right. They were going to look at it tonight, but obviously that's what bit us. The pedal just went to the floor and I couldn't stop the car, so something wrong with the brakes. But 1-1 Dodge is pretty good. It's just unfortunate. We never do good if we start in the top 25 anyhow, so we'll just have to go out there, have a good race, stay out of trouble, and maybe use some pit strategy to get ourselves up there.
Look for Sam Hornish in the 77 on Sunday, guys.
You can see where when his brake pedal did go down, it's probably the front brakes he's having problems with, and the rears took overpowered the car getting into that corner. That's why it turned sideways. Tough break for Sam, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Great run he had going so far.
Yeah, he was able to bring something positive out of that. He said we hadn't finished good when we started in the top 25 anyway, so nice that he can look at it like that.
Here's A.J. Allmendinger, who has only been here once at Watkins Glen in a Cup car. And he drove from the back of the pack a year ago from 37th to just outside the top 10, finished 11th. An experienced road racer, former Barber Dodge champion, a Toyota Atlantic champion. He also has 5 wins in the Champ car, so he can get it done on turning left and right.
Yeah, he was the best. You see him slide the back of the car around there. Wow. You got to be able to stay in the throttle. Looks like he's going to lose a little bit of time right there, but he was the best of the petty cars. He was 12th in that one practice session earlier today. Really fighting this car. It's not doing exactly what he wants it to do, but he's making it get there. But it's costing him a lot of times, you can see. Eventually, when you have to throw the car around like that and try to make it do things, then you just make the tires mad, and then they quit acting like you want them to, and so you just can't ever get your car to find the speed then that you're really needing. As you can see, his time's really dropped off as the lap has continued. So he's just lost the good out of the tires.
He qualified 20th at Infineon mid-pack and drove it all the way to a 7th place finish.
He's going to be about mid-pack here, too. Yeah, 13th out of 28. Respectable time, but not as far up as he'd like to be.
So if you just joined our coverage, it is Jimmy Johnson right now on the provisional pole. Kurt Busch, Denny Hamlin, last week's winner, Marcus Ambrose, who started 43rd a year ago, and 3rd at Infineon, right now sitting 4th. And David Strimmy is 5th. Let's go down and visit with a road course expert, Dave.
And that is Ron Fellows in the 09 car this weekend. Ron, what challenges are you facing on this track where you're very familiar, but sometimes not with cars that you're so familiar?
Yeah, it's all about balance here. Trying to get the front and the rear to work together, especially with all these long sweeping corners. And then you throw in, you've got some concrete patches that kind of upset the grip level as well. So we're chasing it a little bit, but yeah, we'll see what we can do. Priority one is make the race and stick around for Saturday and tune on it some more.
It is a big challenge for him, guys. He's still got to put this in the race on time.
He's been awfully good here in the Nationwide car. Ron Fellows, he won last year up at Montreal in the Nationwide car.
That's the comparison for the Cup cars and the Nationwide cars, and I don't think that's a reflection on Ron. It's probably a reflection on the competition level that you see in the Sprint Cup Series.
That and equipment, I don't know that he's ever been in the top level of equipment in the Sprint Cup Series. So you put him in, one of these top cars with a team that's experienced and has a lot. I mean, you just take the Penske organization. If they would have run a 4th car and put Ron Fellows in there, I think you'd see somebody that could win then.
Well, Biffle's hustled in this car.
Biffle now hanging right there, close to where Jimmy Johnson was, now losing a little bit of time.
The one place Jimmy Johnson really excelled on his lap was getting to the green flag. That warm-up lap coming off of the last turn, coming to the flag. If you watch all these cars when they start their laps, they're starting at a deficit. You'll see that top left where you see 6th place that Greg Biffle is tracking. Almost all the cars, as soon as they take the green flag, they're trying to make up time to Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, I think he attacked that warm-up lap as just that, of warming up, getting everything in his car ready, and it seems to have really paid off.
Greg Biffle, one of 6 drivers in 2009 that has yet to win, that won a year ago. He won the first 2 races of the Chase back in 2008, still trying to get back to victory lane this year.
He's going to be happy with this lap. Pretty solid qualifying run.
So good job for the Biff. He's 7th overall.
And that 71 second bracket.
Pretty good. I had a 12-0.
A little bit better than that, Greg.
That's pretty close for a crew chief, Watts.
Yeah, not too bad. Actually, he was the other way. I usually get him quick.
Let's go down and visit with Carl Edwards. Dave.
And we'll walk in. He's actually discussing with Greg Irwin, the Biffle crew chief right now. Information sometimes translated between teammates rather valuable, right, Carl?
Yeah.
That's why you want me to stop talking so you can hear, right?
Exactly, Dave. I'm kind of in the middle of this. I have a history of really screwing up qualifying, so I'm trying to. Greg Irwin's walking away now.
We'll catch him.
All right. Our Aflac Fusion was fast. We worked on qualifying trim the whole time. I think we're 14th on the sheet, but I felt like there was a lot there, and we got a great draw. We're late. It looks like the track's a little bit slick, so if I don't go out here and screw this thing up, I could be, top 8, top 10. Greg, I think is 7th right now, so that's good.
What's the best piece of information you can pick up from either Greg? He's way down there now, but we'll get you that information. What's the thing you really want to know?
I just want to know how it compares to practice, because I was watching the broadcast there, and our Scott's hauler, and you guys said it best. I mean, you get one lap, you get one chance, and if you screw that, or you mess that up, if you get too deep into one, or you wheel hop, or you're too aggressive early, so you can't make it up. So I guess I just want to know if it's close to practice, so I know how hard to go.
Okay, Andy, have your people call Greg Irwin's people to call Carl Edwards' people and get that information, would you?
So Carl, coming up, you have to qualify. We've had 30 cars go out to qualify. And here's a guy that's already had one off-track excursion today. We mentioned that Clint Boyer got in the gravel trap up between turns 10 and 11. And he is struggling a little bit on the road course. This is the only racetrack on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Tour that Clint Boyer has never had a top 10 finish at.
He was struggling up through the S's right there. He couldn't get his car, or either he couldn't turn the steering wheel. I think it's probably more that he couldn't turn the wheel because maybe his car was really loose and he used up a lot of racetrack, and you can see that computed into losing a lot of time to the pole sitter.
Yeah, when you get off out of your rhythm up through the S's, the only thing you can do is slow down, and you just lose so much time up through there.
Well, you just used up a lot of racetrack. Yeah, could hear him there, and it's just you can't turn the wheel, so you just end up making a longer racetrack than what it already is, and you can't have all of that power there. So then that works into the next corners as you start to enter those, that you have it in your mind as to what your car is doing, and just doesn't allow you to drive the track like you want to.
29th for Clint Boyer, and exactly, we talked about the time he had lost. He is out of 31 cars, just 2 slower than he is, David Reagan and Matt Kenseth.
And anytime you have an off-track excursion already, it makes it difficult to come back. Even though he'd been back on the racetrack, it's still that's in the back of your mind. As much as you try to put it out, you know that your car's not acting the way that you want, and it just makes it difficult to make the lap.
Let's visit with the points leader, Vince.
Tony Stewart doing a little manicuring work before he does the media work. 11th fastest in qualifying. How was your car?
So far, so good. We were a little bit loose through the S's, which is where I'm normally pretty good, so I was a little bit slow there, but I know we can gain a bunch of time there in race trim, and it was pretty good there in race trim, so pretty happy with our car. Just got to get it. We just didn't get enough time today in practice. I heard a lot of guys talk about how much time we all lost because of a couple incidences on the track today, but just didn't get enough time to get qualifying trim exactly where we wanted to be. But pretty proud of this Old Spice Office Depot team.
First or second in the last 5 races here. Why are you so good at Watkins Glen?
I don't know. We figured out we'll bottle it and sell it, but I just like this place. I mean, I like Sonoma. I like being here at the Glen. It's a track that we've always ran well at, and this is a weekend that a lot of drivers don't look forward to, but I always look forward to the 2 road courses. It's 2 places I like.
Tony Stewart smiling again, Doc.
We talked about Tony's remarkable record here at this track. Look at the last 7 races. 6 of the last 7 times he has been here, he has finished first or second. 4 wins. Had that really bad finish back in 2003. That was 11th.
Well, I wouldn't sell it. I'd bottle it up and save it, I think. Try to use it at all these other tracks.
Unbelievable consistency. And right now he has a 197-point lead over Jimmy Johnson, who is our pole sitter thus far in qualifying. Here's Casey Mears. We talked to Casey at the beginning of this qualifying session. Very good in practice. Casey was 5th overall and very optimistic about what might happen in qualifying.
Hey, he's tracking second. Actually, he's tracking in the green up through the S's and at the end of the backstretch. Losing some time in that bus stop area, though, in the inner loop.
It looked like he was pretty conservative getting in. Not very conservative right there, trying to make it up on the exit, but cost him a little bit of time. Maybe he just couldn't get to the gas the way that he wanted. Still a good lap going for him. Looks like his car just maybe got a little bit loose as the run continued. He said he'd been loose, and he seemed to be a little concerned that with all the drivers talking about how loose it was, that he might be on that side with his car. But still a good run. That's 10th quickest.
So not bad at all. Top 10. Wanted to be top 5, so right now he is top 10. How about, are the set heads out, Dave?
I believe they are, and as I walked by Boris's car, I couldn't help but notice the shiny new sponsor, US Chrome, on his car, and then I saw the wheels. And so I just have to ask, Boris, US Chrome is a sponsor and black wheels?
Bob Reith, who is a bigger racing fan than anyone I've ever met who owns no US Chrome, they do not chrome wheels. They do some pretty serious stuff. If you go on the website, uschrome.com, they do a lot of military applications in the F-35 jet. I don't even know if I can say that, but it's really trick. They do cylinder heads. In the cylinder bore, they do this die-cam plating. It's a really neat company, so I'm glad they came on board. Also, we have the Ovarian Cancer Society on board, try to raise awareness for that, help them raise some money. So I'm just excited to hopefully get this forward in the show today.
You have to qualify it in. How tough a task is it going to be?
I mean, we have the speed, but, it comes down if you make a mistake. I mean, people have no idea how nerve-wracking these days are for a go or go homer. You only get 1 lap. In the Nationwide Series, they give you 3 or 4 laps. It's a lot easier. So hopefully I can just go out there and get a nice smooth lap and put this US Chrome car in the show.
All right, and those set heads, Doc, maybe the wigs will have to get dipped into chrome. What do you think?
I think that would work. I'm going to go get mine dipped in, I guess. Now, by the way, he is our in-race reporter for the NASCAR Nationwide Series race on Saturday. Marty Reed and company will be in. If you would like to log on to ESPN.com, search Ask the Driver, and maybe have your question answered, Dale Jarrett will ask him a question during the NASCAR Nationwide race tomorrow.
And I was down there talking to Frankie Sauter, Boris Ed's crew chief, and he said that US Chrome was the first sponsor on the first car that he was ever a crew chief for. He took Dana Patton up to New Hampshire for a cup race.
Whoa, Junior's sideways there.
Mentioned in the Nationwide cars, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is a former winner here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Has not won here in the Cup car.
You get that sideways out of turn 2 and 3, you have to be concerned it's what's going to happen when you get to this point, and right here where you really start trying to put power down. You get him out of the throttle, the car rolling a little bit right there, but here's where you have to be wide open. So he's still losing some time on the exit.
It's like Jimmy Johnson is the only Hendrick car that has this thing figured out for qualifying.
Yeah, I think
all the rest of them.
Yeah, he might not have shared his notes.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s best start here was second by virtue of points outside front row last year. His best finish 3rd in 2003.
Yeah, Lance McGrew, they're not happy with that lap.
Really loose in the S's. Got wrecked there.
You can see right here, look, he's got outside the groove a little bit and got really loose. He just couldn't turn the wheel, and he was trying to stay in the gas. Extremely loose.
He's got pretty good company. He qualified 28th. His teammate Jeff Gordon right now sitting 27th. John Andretti, the latest car to go out to qualify, and John clocked in 29th overall at a 72.984 second lap. Next car to go out will be Carl Edwards, and we talked about one of the drivers that won so many races a year ago, but has yet to go to victory lane here in 2009. I got to wonder if his teammate Greg Biffle, who qualified so well, maybe shared anything with Carl. Let's find out.
Well, Greg Biffle did have a good qualifying run, and Jerry Punch just asked, I wonder if he shared anything with Carl before he went out. Carl's on the track now. Did you compare notes?
You know, all of our teams really work well together, and we're so excited to get 3 and 4 Fusion qualified so well. I really like this racetrack. I remember years back I qualified outside front row to Jeff Gordon, and you know, just happy that we're back here running again. Happy the weather's good, but you know, I made a few mistakes. I got a little loose going up the S's. It cost me some time, but real happy with that lap.
Yeah, good solid lap for the 16 and Greg Biffle. Doc?
Thank you, Vince, and looks very much like what Greg Biffle did in turn 1, just drove it in there. But now here he's trying to come back and gain some on it.
Yeah, Carl was a little conservative as far as carrying it down into turn 1, but it's like his car didn't stick, and he ended up outside the strips there, and that cost him a little bit of time. You can see he's having to fight this car quite a bit. I don't think he has the grip that he was looking for. If they told him that the track had some.
Yeah, it looked like he went after it there, and it's just fighting. You can see him fighting the car through the windshield there, especially through those curbs through the bus stop or the inner loop. If you get too much of that curb, it can really cost you a lot of time.
Carl's driven a Cup car here 4 times. He has 3 top 10 starts. His best start was 3rd, and that was by points a year ago. He's got 3 consecutive top 10 finishes, 5th in 06, 8th in 07, and 9th a year ago.
He was thinking about a top 10 run, and here he right now is going to be 29th.
A lot of disappointed people today. A lot of cars that you would thought would be up front are starting way back.
You wonder just how much you can hustle these cars, and we take a look at Carl Edwards' hands.
Yeah, watch as he gets ready to go here. You have to turn the car a lot right here, but you can see him really working the steering wheel, car coming off the ground. Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch didn't have any problem, though. They're on the front row right now.
Qualifying ongoing. Now we are in the cars, the 11 cars that are go or go homers. They've got to get in on time and speed. There's David Gilliland, and he's not going to be very happy with that. He is the slowest car that has gone out thus far to qualify, 36. And here is the second car entered by Robbie Gordon. This is P.J. Jones out in the 04.
P.J. certainly an accomplished road racer. He's helped Robbie out a number of times at some places when Robbie was doing some off-road racing stuff, and he would practice and qualify his car. So Robbie gives him this chance in his car.
And 34th right now for PJ. So again, there are 46 cars here. 43 will make it. So 3 of these 11 cars, there are 9 more to go that have to get it on time and speed. 3 of these will have to go home.
And most of these go or go homers are driven by road racers. If you look down the list, it's Max Pappas, Ron Fellows, Boris Said, Brian Semo, Tony Avi, and even Scott Speed. He was a Formula One driver at one time, spent a lot of time on road courses, so it's going to be tough to get in this field.
Is Dave Blaney going to be mad at you that you didn't mention him?
He might be. Okay. And Joe Nemechek, he's yet to go also.
Now, as a World of Outlaws racer, Dave Blaney turned right and left a bunch too.
True. Well, he was turning right, but going left.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned some of the road course races. How about the NASCAR Sprint Cup debut for Andy Lally, the 3-time Grand Am Series champion, road racer extraordinaire. He drove the anchor leg in this past February's Rolex 24 at Daytona, won that race down there.
He's hustling that car on this warm-up lap.
He is. This has to be quite a different experience, though, from what he's used to racing and even, driving some trucks and things. These cars just drive so much different. So be interesting to follow his progress and watch him negotiate these 11 turns and try to get this car into the race.
You see where that front brace in the splitter, that center brace is broken where he hit the racetrack real hard under braking. I don't think it'll affect his lap, but you can see the little brace dangling.
The only thing, if you let that part go down a little bit, entering some of these corners or over in the bus stop or something like that, it could affect it.
Hustling the car up through here now. Looks pretty good so far.
Yeah, pretty solid run.
This is the team car to David Gilliland. This is TRG Motorsports, owned by Kevin Buckler out of California, giving the road racer a chance to hopefully get a start here in a Cup race at Watkins Glen.
Oh, that looked really good there. That was nice.
Good. That might be the best I've seen through there since Jimmy Johnson qualified. That was a good job. He's going to be real happy with this lap.
Yeah, just 2 more turns to try to get this car through, and he's going to, I believe, put himself solidly in the field.
Easy does it. Woo. That's all you can get there.
You know, as a driver, it's so hard to know. You know you really haven't made any mistakes, but you're just not sure what it's going to take, and especially his first time trying to qualify one of these cars for a race. But, oh, absolutely, great run.
Wow, 14th overall. What a great effort by Andy. Those guys named Andy don't know how to get it done, don't they, Andy?
At least they do on a road course.
So the 3-time Grand Am champion puts that car in the top 15.
That was just a good, solid lap. You can see, I mean, he attacked it where he needed to, but he was also just not overdriving the car and trying to really make things happen with it that he didn't need to.
And one thing we did see him do was really work the car on this warm-up lap. Right here, there's Max Pappas getting up to speed, but we saw Lally really working the car back and forth, running very hard through here, and I'm not sure that isn't the key to making a good lap, getting those tires with some heat.
Yeah, and he would be one that never knew that before you didn't really want to abuse the tires in the older cars, so, you know, the guys are finding out now that maybe you have to do something a little different with this, and so, you know, sometimes what you don't know doesn't hurt you.
Right.
Or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's the way it goes. Maybe, is that the way it goes?
Or what you don't know, you don't know.
Here's Max Pappas, a 39-year-old driver originally from Italy. Max ran earlier his best finish this year, 12th at Infineon. In fact, he hasn't driven since Infineon. He did not qualify at the Brickyard 400. He ran once here last year, 42nd and 43rd, his start and finish at Watkins Glen. We talk about road racing experience now. Max, a 2-time winner of the Rolex 24, 2-time winner of the 12 Hours of Sebring, 3 Champ Car victories, spent 2 years in Formula One with Lotus and Arrows. And also, by the way, he is a Grand Am champion.
He carried a lot of speed off that last corner to get the green. You can see right there, all the way down the straightaway, tracking in the top 5. Not many cars have been able to do that.
Got a little wider there than he needed to, but he's able to get back in the gas and stay in. Let's see if he can carry the speed up through the S's here. This is a really important part of the track for these guys.
He's doing real good through here. You can see he's got a... We're actually comparing him to Lally's time.
Still a good, solid lap. This is going to be a lap that will get him in if he can just get through here without a huge mistake. See the car a little bit loose right there.
Well, he's got a chance to get that car in the top 10. Now he's losing some time coming out of the bus stop. Now comparing to Jimmy Johnson, the pole sitter.
I don't think he's going to threaten Jimmy Johnson, but this is a good lap so far. Max just takes it easy here, cools it into this corner. Now this corner can get you in trouble.
This could put him in the top half of the field anyway.
Yeah, nice corner there. Really good effort by Max Pappas. These road race guys are just really smooth. I've always been amazed that they can get in these cars and hustle them. That's 15th for Max. Nice lap.
That would be a career best qualifying effort for Max. Previously, it was 22nd at Darlington.
That locks in Andy Lally.
Well, let's go down and talk with Scott Speed. Dave.
That's right, Doc. And today he will have to qualify his car on time. So at this point, Scott, are you focused at all on a time that you have to beat, or simply to go out and run the best lap that you can and just let it fall where it may?
Well, I think you got to do a little bit of both. I mean, you know, we obviously have to make sure we stay on the road and get a solid lap in, and I think if we do that, we'll be all right. I don't think we really have the car capable of running really solidly in the front, so I think, you know, at this point we take a really conservative route and just make sure we get in the show, and then, you know, there we have tomorrow to work on and make it better for the race.
You drew the last qualifying position. Any advantage today? Do you think the track is cooling, or have you heard, do you have any advantage now?
Well, if the temperature's dropping, it's an advantage. I mean,
if not, it's not. Right?
If that's pretty black or white. I mean, I think at this point the track's probably a little bit cooler than when they first started qualifying. But then again, the guys that went out early on, you know, Denny's still up there really good. So maybe it doesn't affect. It's one of those things that sometimes it changes, sometimes it doesn't.
Hang on, let me ask for you, Scott. Stay right here. Guys upstairs, do we have the most current? Because I know at one point the track was a little bit warmer and skatier. It's dropped down, okay, from 120 to 99 temperature on the track.
I guess that means Denny had a really good lap then, going out third.
And you've got a shot, Scott.
Right on.
All right, Scott Speed, guys.
So it is dropping down from 114 to 99 degrees, so down 16 degrees or 15 degrees if you do the math. And there we go. And so the air temperatures only dropped a degree, Andy, but the track really cooling off.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of clouds come through, and a lot of the track has been shaded during this session. And we're only taking that track temp from one spot, so it's not an indication of what the whole track is, but it does give you a little bit of sense of the trend of what the track temp is doing.
Here's the another one of the road race specialists, Ron Fellows, the Canadian, and driving the 09 for James Finch. This has Hendrick horsepower, though.
Yeah, Hendrick horsepower and a really good driver behind the wheel, so that's a nice combination. And we're comparing him to what he needs to get in the field. You can see he was doing pretty well. Ron is one, he attacks the corners, but he's really good on the exit most of the time. You can see his car a little bit loose there, lost some time.
Fellows 5 total NASCAR victories, 3 times in the Nationwide Series here as a winner, and twice in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. 19 wins in Trans Am competition, 3 class championships in American Le Mans, and twice a class winner in the 24-hour of Le Mans.
Yeah, this is going to be a lap that's going to be close to the bubble.
Makes him the 3rd of the 5 go-or-go homers.
So the 2 that are locked in are the 71 being locked in already, and that is Lally and Max Pappas locked into the field here as qualifying continues at Watkins Glen.
NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR.
Here's some of the old historic footage here of the road course racing. That was through the village of Watkins Glen back in the early days before they actually ran here on the road course itself. They ran into downtown and they ran up on the top of the hill there. And it's a long history of great races here in the central New York area. Joe Nemechek went out and gave it a valiant try, but not good enough. And we might explain, Joe blew an engine in the beginning of the practice session and never got a lap on the racetrack.
Yeah, it makes it difficult because this is such a rhythm track. You really have to get out and find how far you can take your car and your shifting points, and just makes it almost impossible. But Joe gave it a good try.
And with Joe not making it, locks in Ron Fellows now. He is in the show in the 09 car. Here is Boris. We talked to Boris Said the 3rd a moment ago about trying to get this car qualified here at a track that's been very good to him over the years.
You can always hear in Boris's voice when he's talking. He knows that he has to go make these races, but he really would like sometime to be able just to throw everything out there and see if he could go win the pole or get right up front. But he has to, he has to strike that balance. He knows he wants to be in the race, and so he has to drive the car to just do that, not be able to really hang it out.
Now he's being compared to P.J. Jones, which right now is the slowest of the go-or-go-home cars that have yet to be locked in. But because he's doing so well, we're going to switch him over and compare him to Jimmy Johnson, because Boris is on a lap here, boys.
Well, he is on a lap. He's just barely a 10th off of Jimmy Johnson's time up the backstretch.
Yeah, let's watch him get into the inner loop here. He really carries a lot of speed through here. If that car will stick, oh, nice. Had to get out of the gas a little bit right there. That was going to hurt him a little to carry the speed, but you see he's back in the throttle here. It was like he carried so much speed out of that inner loop that he had to let the car go. It wouldn't stick right there, so that cost him exit time out of turn 9. But still a really solid lap. You can see a top 10 coming right here for Boris Said.
Boris has 8 starts at Watkins Glen, make it 9 starts at Watkins Glen as he flashes by, and Boris Said is 9th overall in qualifying. Great effort.
Listen to the crowd.
Ah, they're happy.
A lot of Said heads in the stands today.
We'll see some nice wigs on Sunday.
Well, Boris Said now is the fastest of the go-or-go homers, even faster than Andy Lally. Let's visit with Andy.
And Doc, earlier you talked about Andy Lally's world-class road racing resume. Andy, how about the pressures involved in getting the 71 car in today as he gets a little handshake there, slap on the back from Max?
It was
pretty much the most intense moment I've ever had in my career right there. It's been a childhood dream to come race in the Sprint Cup Series, and to be able to come here with the TRG Motorsports car, the 71, and Adobe Road Winery and TechSlayer.com behind us. It's a dream come true. It was extremely exhilarating, and I was trying to keep the butterflies down there, but as soon as we took the checker, when they told me the time, I knew we were locked in there. Man, I just had to take a moment of quietness to myself as we rolled in here to Tech, and just be real thankful for the opportunity that Kevin Buckler and TRG Motorsports and Slugger and all these guys that have just been hustling their butts off to get this road course car ready for us. And I got a wonderful opportunity now, and we just got to focus on Sunday.
Can you tell us a little bit more about, as a kid, what you saw and how bad you wanted to be here?
It gets a lump in my throat every single time because I'm out there right now with guys I looked up to, early heroes of mine. I mean, I get to race Mark Martin on Sunday, and that's pretty awesome. And it's just an amazing feeling to be out here with guys that I've been looking up to as role models and heroes my whole life. And I've been racing full time in the Grand Am Series, and the Rolex Series has been wonderful to me, and I've been able to make a career out of it. And this is just a wonderful additional step.
Good to have Andy in the race, guys.
Good job, Andy Lally. Good job. First time in the car, wanting to be here, and he made sure he was going to be in this show on Sunday.
No, it says a lot right there when you hear that. Sometimes in being a former driver, we kind of take for granted the opportunity that we have to race in a great series, and that other people are out there that drive in other forms really wishing they could be here and be a part of it. So that was well said, and I think means a lot to a lot of people who watched Dave Blaney on his lap.
Dave has to try to beat a 73.246. That is the time of the 04 car, P.J. Jones, to try to get himself locked into the field.
I don't think he's going to be able to do that. He's going to beat a couple of these cars. The Go or Go Hummer.
And he doesn't beat PJ, but he beats everybody else. So now PJ Jones is locked in, the second Robbie Gordon car. And now the next one to be locked in would be Dave Blaney. Lots of motorsports to come your way this weekend here from Watkins Glen. We'll have NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Happy Hour at 1:30 Eastern Time tomorrow. And, of course, live flag-to-flag coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at Watkins Glen Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN, beginning with NASCAR Countdown. Now, coming up next, Marty Reed's going to jump in the seat here for live coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series final practice on ESPN2. He'll also be here for qualifying tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and the coverage at 2:30 Eastern Time of the NASCAR Nationwide Series return to Watkins Glen. NASCAR now later today, 6:30 Eastern Time, updating everything that happened in practice and qualifying for the nationwide cars and the NASCAR Sprint Cup cars. And, of course, pre-race edition Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, presented by 5 Hour Energy. Oh, there. If a chimp can fly a spaceship. The Boris, the Set heads love this guy. And what's not to love about Boris Set?
Well, the fans were certainly cheering when they announced your time, Boris. And now you had a big smile on your face when you got out of the car. Were you that happy with your time, or are you just relieved that it's over?
I'm more relieved than happy. I mean, it's nerve-wracking for a go-or-go homer. But, our little effort here with this Ford Fusion, I mean, I can't thank, so mmany people got us here. Bob Reith from US Chrome. Go to uschrome.com, really cool company. The guy has more passion for racing than anyone I've ever met. We also have, the ovarian cancer on board this week to try to raise some awareness. And Performance Friction, they gave me some great brakes today. That's the most important thing here. And I have all my street cars at home, and they did the job here today.
You got it done in qualifying. What do you think you can get done in the race?
Well, now it's all downhill. I think we have a good car. We can work on it in happy hour without the pressure of just trying to make the race and not screw up. So at Sonoma, we had a really fast Ford Fusion, and hopefully tomorrow, or Sunday for US Chrome, we can, maybe run in the top 5, top 10. That'd be pretty excited about that.
The Set head's going to have a lot to cheer for on Sunday, Doc.
Indeed they are, and it's always fun to watch Boris in a race. He will hustle a race car. That'll be fun to watch on Sunday afternoon. Tommy Baldwin is the owner of this car. Tommy is a native of New York, and a longtime crew chief and now car owner because he wanted to be able to take the plunge. Andy Petrie, you took the plunge and it worked out for you. Now Tommy's trying to do the same thing with Brian Semo, a road racer, getting his car qualified here.
Yeah, he's finding out just how tough it is. Boy, I'll tell you, this is a tough sport. And Brian Semo's not going to be happy with that lap there. He only beats one of the cars, and that's David Gilliland, and that locks David out of the race. He's bumped.
Still 2 more cars to go in qualifying, and it'll be Tony Avi and then Scott Speed, the last 2 to go out to qualify. If you just joined our coverage, it is Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch on the front row. Denny Hamlin, last week's winner at Pocono, is 3rd. Marcus Ambrose is 4th. And David Stremme, very good qualifying. Impressive run for Stremme in the Penske Dodge. He is 5th overall in qualifying.
I'm seeing a lot of the top guns struggle in this qualifying session. But you have Casey Mears there in 11th and Paul Menard in 14th. These are cars that have had really good runs in qualifying.
Here's Tony Avi, who is an experienced road racer. Competed in the Formula Atlantic Series from 1996 to 2001, a Grand Am Series from 2000 to 2002, and has 1 career start in the Cup Series here at Watkins Glen back in 2004.
Well, the last run did lock Dave Blaney into the race. So we'll see what Tony can do in his opportunity here. He's going to have to beat a 73.64 will be what he will be shooting for. That's the time of Joe Nemechek. Watch him as he goes into turn 1. This is probably one of the most important parts. You have to get this lap started off good. If you mess up here, it's hard to make up time around the rest of the track. Like he was pretty solid there. He's just being compared to Joe Nemechek.
Can't imagine the pressure finally get a chance to get in a Cup car here, although he's been here before in a couple other races, but only here once. And the world is watching. You got to believe when you're out there by yourself and trying to you get one chance to get this car in the field.
Well, that's the pressures that you have to take and accept if you want to be part of big-time auto racing and come into the Sprint Cup Series and try to make it into one of these races. It's just nothing easy about it. You can see he really had things going well. A little bit of a dip there. Seems to be picking it back up out of turn 9 as he goes to turn 10. Try not to wheel hop right here. It's like he's got it under control. It's going to be close.
Boy, he's got to get it back.
It is going to be extremely close.
He's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. Let's see if he comes across. Can he get it back in?
It's going to be close. He does it.
Just barely.
Wow.
But he's in. His light turns green. That means he's in the field.
And now it all comes down to either Scott Speed, who's about to go out, or Joe Nemechek, who had not gotten a lap on the track all day long, blew an engine in the first lap of practice, changed the engine, and the only lap he got was one he went out to qualify. So we'll see if the former Formula One ace
on track. Well, I happened to be watching the Sonoma qualifying effort. He had a great lap going. He had 2 corners left, but he ran off the next to the last corner, and it cost Scott to make every one of these corners. He's going to opt like Brian Vickers. The only 2 that we saw were teammates do this, Brian Vickers and now Scott Speed, that you don't have to go through the inner loop there on your warm-up lap. But those were the only 2 guys that we saw take that option. Let's see how it works out for Scott Speed.
It seems like the more heat you put in the tires, the better laps that you're able to make. And skipping that inner loop would keep heat from going in the tires. Right here is where you worry about not having enough heat in the tires. You don't want to lock up that right front. Good so far there.
Yeah, I carried good speed there.
Great corner. Actually, I mean a great corner. He's tracking right up there.
Yeah, this is a lot like his lap at Infineon earlier this year.
Brian Vickers. Now we're going to compare him to pole sitter Jimmy Johnson. And he lost some time there through the bus stop.
I think it's just more of a conservative route that he's taking.
Yeah, he doesn't need to have a stellar lap here. All he needs to do is run just a conservative corner. These next 2 corners, he's in the race, no problem. No mistakes here.
You're right. If he charges off the track in turn 10 or turn 11, he's not only going to have a bad lap, he's going to miss the show.
Yeah, the only way that he can learn more about driving these cars is to be in these races, and so he's done his job here. He's going to be solidly in the race. Made a couple of good corners there at the end, and going to get himself in around the 26th spot.
And that will bump Joe Nemechek out of the field. So Nemechek is out, Brian Semo is out, and David Gillen is out. It is official. Jimmie Johnson is our pole sitter. His first road course pole in 16 races. NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying is history here at Watkins Glen, New York, and it is Jimmie Johnson on the pole. His first time on the road course in 16 races on the pole. Let's go down and visit with Jimmy.
Jimmy, what does being on the pole here today do for an encouragement factor in what you're going to deal with on Sunday?
It means a lot to me. It means a lot to this team. We've worked real hard to get this Lowe's Impala in good condition, make it quick and fast, and we did all the right things today. The car could have been a little bit better for us. It was a little bit adventurous from time to time in qualifying trim, but I guess we had fewer problems than everybody else and put in a really good lap. So very proud of the team, and we'll have a great view from up front, good track position, and hopefully we can keep all that and make the most of it.
Jimmie Johnson on the pole here at Watkins Glen. Doc.
Okay, I'm ready.
So Johnson on the pole, Kurt Busch on the outside front row. Neither one of those drivers have ever won on a road course. How about David Strimmy back there in 5th spot?
Yeah, great job by the Penske group today.
And Kyle Busch
getting in the 10th.
See, Kyle Busch, he was disappointed with his qualifying run, but he's going to start up there in the 4th row.
You got Boris said, Montoya. How good is row 5 there? Take a look. Casey Mears, good qualifying effort.
And Max Pappas, AJ Allmendinger, a lot of new faces up front.
See Mark Martin back in 14 on the outside of row 14. Jeff Burton right behind him. They'll be coming to the field. Both those pretty good road racers.
Yeah, got some real surprises even further back. Look at Jeff Gordon starting 31st in this race. Carl Edwards right behind him.
Sam Hornish, who had a possible pole contending lap, went away, so he should be a factor to come from the back of the pack here as well, coming off that top 5 finish a week ago at Pocono. And the final 3, Dave Blaney, Matt Kenseth, and Tony Ave. So, guys, I guess the big surprises in qualifying, aside from the fact that Jimmie Johnson gets his first pole on a road course, has to be David Strimmy there qualifying 5th overall.
Yeah, David Strimmy, and then you see Casey Mears up there in the 11th spot. Paul Menard, 14th. Andy Lally, Max Pappas, a lot of good names up front, new names.
Yeah, and one in the back is Matt Kenseth sitting there, back there in the point standings. He's going to have to do some strategy and have a really solid day to come out of here okay.
Well, we invite you to join us for live flag-to-flag coverage, 1 o'clock Eastern time here. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series action at Watkins Glen as Jimmie Johnson and Kurt Busch will lead them down from the front row. Now, coming up next, Marty Reed's going to step in the seat here. We're going to have live coverage of the final practice for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. That's coming up right now here at Watkins Glen. And, of course, our coverage tomorrow with more practice and qualifying from here.